Hello, everyone, and welcome to Poetry Street, a room without a roof where every voice is heard. My name is Chip Williford, and Maggie and I are so excited that you're here today. We would like to start with a land welcoming. A land welcoming is to offer the acknowledgement of the traditional owners of this land. And for this welcome, I have a video from a descendant of the people of the Yamakra, Choctaw, Geechee, Chiraw, and Shilage. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerron McKelvin.
Thank you, Chip. As Chip said, whenever we embark on any endeavors, anything with regards to invoking a good spirit, invoking teamwork, leadership, all of those principles in each individual, we always want to acknowledge the Creator for what He's bestowed upon us. With all reverence and gratitude to Creator for the blessings bestowed upon us on these sacred grounds that we call our home, we thank Him for our ancestors all across each state and the archipelago of the Caribbean islands and beyond. For they left the instructions handed down by signs in nature and in the heavens. We give special gratitude to our extended Lenape family here in New York for the ability to live and situate ourselves in their ancestral homelands. There were many tribal nations living together in the Americas for countless thousands of years prior to European encroachment, which underlined the wars, forced enslavement, and migrations in the 17th century and led to the Dutch West India Company to acquire a stronghold of land from the Lenape nation. They renamed it New Amsterdam and subsequently New York after the Anglo-Dutch Wars. Although there have been many countless tribal nations lost because of the aforementioned reasons, there are still many descendants of the ancestors who lived to nurture and protect the homelands, oral histories, and way of life. As a new day is upon us, it is vitally imperative that we acknowledge our history in order that we preserve the lessons of our past to make way for a restoration of peace and balance for a more prosperous future that we can all benefit from and enjoy together in our pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to introduce you to my co-host, the wonderful, the beautiful, the very talented author of Sleepless Nights, Emmy Award winner for her work on Sesame Street, ladies and gentlemen, Maggie Bloomfield.
Thank you, Chip. Welcome, everybody. Here we are again on Zoom. Some of you are new to Poetry Street, so just a moment of background. Poetry Street was created by Susan Dingle and Bubby Brown 9 years ago as part of the East End Arts Jumpstart Project. Susan recognized the need for a poetry venue in Riverhead to celebrate poetry, diversity, and inclusion. And that is our mission. Our mission is diversity. Through the hospitality of Nancy Curris at the Blue Duck Bakery, we met monthly for 7 years to a really fabulous following. Sadly, the Blue Duck closed, COVID hit, and thanks to the technical skills of Chip Williford and my enthusiasm, we have continued on Zoom for the last 2.5 years. And we now have a lovely in-person venue at the Riverhead Library. Unfortunately, they were closed today. So we're back to a Zoom format, but hey, we're all here together and that's what counts. And our next event is June 25th, and it's going to really be a fabulous event. We'll tell you more about it later. I am mostly here to introduce the features, but I do want to say that we love a response. So when you hear a poet, whether you like that poet or not, we want to hear you stomp your feet and scream, okay? It's like, pretend it's basketball. Because part of our mission is to encourage people to read and to grow as poets. And believe me, a lot of us have grown as a result of this, this wonderful, wonderful venue. So onward. We have two fabulous teachers today. And by the way, if you haven't and you want to read, please do sign up in chat for the open mic. The open mic, this is important. 3 minutes, please. We have a lot of people who are going to read today. So our first feature is this fabulous guy that I've only known for a few months. Had to get him for Poetry Street. T A Niles has had periodical and academic work published. His poetic publication is a haiku published by the Poetry Superhighways Haikuniverse. TA's entry into the poetry community came through the narration and production of the audiobook version of Hiram LaRue's most recent collection, Mud Ajar. His expressions challenge us to examine the human condition from an uncommon perspective. Please unmute for just a moment and welcome T.A. Niles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for that intro, Maggie. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Claire. Just thanks to everybody from Poetry Street. And, you know, I only have 15 minutes, so if I were to thank everybody that ought to be thanked, my 15 minutes would be long gone. So this morning I figured, well, you know, I'll do a brief something here. And I wrote what I call the Poetry Street Gratitude and More. Maybe before I do that, because I may forget or run out of time, I'd like to acknowledge Stephanie. Where are you, Stephanie? Somewhere there, my beloved. There's Dr. Michael Hecht and Anne. Oh my, Anne, amazing. My former dissertation chair. You know, that's a defunct dissertation anyway. So many cool folks, but let me get going here before I run out of time. Poetry Street, Gratitude and More. So many to thank. It's hard to know where to start. Guess I better just go ahead and speak from the heart. This moment wouldn't be for me without folks who envisioned so creatively. This moment that is unique and a special treat. This opportunity to saunter down Poetry Street. So thank you, Bubby Brown and Susan Dingle, without whom not a single one of us would be here to mingle. To Chip Williford and Maggie Bloomfield, who drive the poetry bus today, and for who people like Bri and me, they paved the way. To Stephanie, without whom I wouldn't be. To all who've welcomed me into this swirling world of poetry. J.R., the poet purple, J.B., the Spofest spark, Linda, the linguistic librarian, and Lupert, the slickest of Ricks, all have played their part. To all I bow in deepest gratitude, but I've heard that one must give the devil his due, and though no devil, this is my cue to extend the deepest and humblest gratitude to Hiram LaRue. It was his Mud Ajar that got this all started, and for that, I'll be truly grateful till I'm dearly, or otherwise, departed. And you, of course, you who have chosen to join us, to share the moment and your expressions too, along with all the others mentioned, I am deeply grateful to you. If I've missed any of the many others who have made this possible, please excuse me and just blame it on my ever encroaching senility. Thank you. Okay, now moving on. I'd like to tell you a story now. It emerged from a Stroll of Poets 30-30 challenge prompt during National Poetry Month. Before I do that, I better share screen. Is that right? Chip? Let's go.
Yes, that's
here.
fine. Thank you.
Can you see? Everybody can see okay, I'm hoping?
Yes.
Very good. This piece is called Silken Shackles. Sorry, I know a few of you've probably seen this before. The clink and clang of shackles, collars not in need of starch, but red from rust and wounds that wept. Iron rings on wrists rubbed raw, ankles swollen in trudging shuffle, each step a study in red on a dusty canvas. They marched on in tormented fugue. Sweat and mingled blood streaked their glistening skin, running like salted rivulets into the river of indifferent dust beneath their torn and naked feet. Spurred on by snap and crack of whip, attendant screams, companion moans, the bellowed yells of cattle herders, meaning clear despite the foreign tongue. Through the wavy heat of day they shuffled, the next step their only destination. Left, right, fear and rage, right, left, rage and fear, wondering how and why and from where had this destiny of darkness descended. Then a Samaritan appeared, on charging steed, his halo shining bright, the blistering light reflecting on his righteous sword, with razored blade not yet stained in red. He was garbed in splendid robes of finest white cotton, grown and picked and wonderfully woven by those who wore the chains. At those who held the blood rust leashes, he shook his fist and bellowed. Inhuman and dastardly is this treatment, an abomination beyond humane. Release these wretched creatures, he commanded. Make those steely bonds be gone. Captive eyes rose from downward stare, wide in wonder and hesitant hope. Heartbeats hurled themselves against rib cages of despair, burst through breasts sunken in desolation, and throbbed in ecstasy of freedom's promise. The Samaritan swung his sword of light, and a form of freedom followed. Metal chains fell from throats and ankles, from wrists, now free to curl into fists, to fight for what was theirs by right, not a gift of man to give, nor a thing to take. The blood of captors boiled, but did not trickle, did not spill in dust or soak the earth, until the captives surged in fury and the Samaritan's sword descended. Rage and retribution reigned until slaying ceased and surrender seemed the wisest course to those who'd forced obedience. The Samaritan, sword still dripping, surveyed the carnage with grim satisfaction, absorbed the grisly scene. Mission accomplished. The newly released, with chests heaving in weary triumph, turned their eyes away from the mutilation, turned to each other with mounting trepidation. From which corner would their retribution come? In which direction should they turn? From his saddlebags of softest leather, the Samaritan drew swaths of silken cloth that fluttered in the blood-scented breeze. Soon, the swaths were rendered strips and tendered to those with wounds old and new. With a smile more benevolent than a saint's, the Samaritan trailed the silk across their skin, like a lover who would please, or a trainer who sought to ease the panic of his beast. To those who had bled and shuffled, those who had shuffled and bled, he said, let's bind these wounds, these obvious signs of barbaric bondage. Would these silken strands not be preferred to those iron bonds that bound you? With unfamiliar care, he helped them bind their bloody wrists, their oozing necks and mangled ankles. His gentle way soon soothed them. In delight, just barely dawning, they gazed in wonder and stroked the soft silk, encircling their wrists, their throats, their swollen ankles. Without clue or map, strength all but sapped, and barely more choice than before, they followed the Samaritan where he led. His journey, now their course. Now they trudged in gratitude and loyalty, some even skipped. Only few begrudged the blindness of their path. Surely it would lead to even more of this freedom they'd found. Yet it did occur to a very few that, silk or no, they were still securely bound. Thank you for hanging in there for that long piece. See, I'm making the most of this occasion because open mic, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I could do that piece 4 times over, right? Okay. The next piece is quite a bit lighter, I would say. That was a new piece you just heard. This one's an old piece. It's called Love Talking. Chip can appreciate this for sure. Okay. Talking about you, talking about me, talking about the most that we can be. Just one way I'd like to spend our time, just a little piece of that dream of mine. It's a dream worth sharing. Well, at least I think so. And that's good enough reason for me to let you know that love talking is what's on my mind. Talking about how we spend our days is cool, you know, but wouldn't you rather talk about the way we flow? How about sharing some thoughts and the way we feel together about how to keep our passion flowing through any kind of weather? Am I being too demanding? Asking too much of you? I hope not, because I'm only being true when I tell you that love talking is what's on my mind. Love talking is what I really want to share. I believe love talking exercises the fear. Love talking will help us sail on the winds of freshness, free from days and nights gone stale. Am I just a fool to believe this way? Is it nothing but folly when I choose to say that love talking is what's on my mind? Won't you tell me how you see us, how you feel us grooving, perhaps what you're thinking that will keep us moving closer and closer to the dream we share, that'll keep our feet on that crystal stair, climbing higher than high over mountains of minutia, where it all comes together, past, present, and future. Hey, can you tell that love talking is what's on my mind? I want to hear what's behind that look in your eyes. What engenders that tremble in your parted thighs? Tell me what I can do to help your spirit soar, and it will be done even before the immediate hour, as long as it's something within my power. Tell me when you feel I'm not doing my part. Whenever I fail to please your heart, how can I possibly satisfy if I don't know the whats and whys that lay behind your hidden cries? I long to free the ties that bind, and that's why love talking is what's on my mind. Babe, talk to me about who you were and how you came to be, how you struggled to find and keep a vision that only you could see when the blindness caused your eyes to tear and made your heart afraid to dare. Tell me about when you laughed and when you cried, when your fear kept both your glee and pain inside. Don't you know? I'm talking love when I tell you about my joy and woe, about the myriad things that move me so. Baby, don't you know that love talking is what's on my mind? Love talking is the only thing to do when you've got so many feelings stirring deep within you. Love talking is what moves me, is mostly what soothes me when the trials and tribulations come around and blues me. When the shivers and the tingles get to flowing through me, and you bring your love as though you always knew me. Love talking is what's on my mind. I want to tell you about the feeling that your smile inspires, how even the simplest thoughts of you awaken my deepest desires. I want to express how the tender caress of your magic fingers evokes in me a feeling that always lingers from the center of my being all the way to the outside, never letting you leave me even though the doubt tried to erode the strength of the bond we shared, never suspecting how deeply, how completely we cared. Do you see what I mean when I say that love talking is what's on my mind? Now, don't get me wrong. It's not all about words. Sometimes it's hard for us to glean exactly what the words we say might mean. Love talking can be heard without a single word spoken. A simple touch, a special look can be a token of words you may choose not to speak. Because even with all their power, words are simply too weak to convey the depth and breadth of feeling that their use would only be stealing. It is expression with and of all for which I call when I say that love talking is on my mind. It is with fervent wish and desperate hope I plead that you won't misconstrue this need to go beyond the common pale, to traverse the paths so often hidden where even self is seldom bidden, to wander free and bold where our deepest longings we hold. It's there, deep within, that love resides and yearns for expression through love, life's flowing tides. I think meaningful sharing frees the ties that bind, and that's why love talking is what's on my mind. Thank you so much for listening, folks.
Woo-hoo! On my way to New Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Hey, everybody unmute and make some noise.
All
All
right.
right. Woo-hoo. Thank you.
Love talking.
That was gorgeous.
Awesome.
Hot stuff. Hot stuff.
I love it. Thank you, Barbara.
Now, TA, we want you to save one for the end. Also, we're going to bring all the features back after the open mic.
Well, you just messed up my program. But I'll find something. Don't you worry. Thank you for that opportunity.
I
I'm sure
have
you
a
got
feeling
something
you'll
else there.
find something. Yeah, I think you'll find something, Tia.
Thank you, Maggie.
That was just sensational. And
Thank you.
wow, our second feature in this venue almost needs no introduction. She has been part of the poetry family on Long Island for a long time, and she is amazing. Bri Onishea, and I'm always sure I'm misspelling the last or mispronouncing the last name, so correct me, please, Bri.
You were actually very close, Onishea.
Oh, good.
So you're so close.
Oh, thank you. She calls herself a collection of mismatched socks. A bisexual social worker by day and a gender queer poet by night, she has performed her work throughout Long Island and parts of New York City since 2014. She spends her free time staring lovingly at her collection of books and enjoys cemeteries far more than any reasonable person should. Me too. Please, please welcome Bri Onishea.
Hey, Bri. So I do not have as wonderful of a reading voice as TA. I will work to read a little slower, sometimes read a little fast. But this is an untitled piece that I wrote during the pandemic. I am going to have a little bit of a focus on mental health for this reading because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we need to talk about destigmatization and everything like that. So we all go through struggles, and it's good to bring awareness to it. None of us know, and so I count the years as gifts. 31 so far is a paper lantern, geometric in its casting. It is a shadow puppet, telling horror stories that leave my 5-year-old self peeping through fingers enthralled. It is craft beers I never used to like, unfamiliar on my palate, tea parties with stuffed animals and a return to the former, an oxymoron, hibernation in spring. Perhaps the earth will tell us when to awake, if it is not trying to bury us alive. I tell my mother I love her more these days than in those passing. I am grateful for the crocuses my boyfriend photographed for me while the world panicked. To catalog our lifespans in the span of empathy, none of us will know, and so I tell him I like the softness of his skin, the messiness of his hair, his widow peak, the way he sits at home on the floor writing poetry in magnets. 31 so far is digital, abstract separation entwined with pixels, the still life drawing of a live action movie. A thank you card written over and over and passed between friends, between houses to abate the electrical undercurrent of history. It is breath, kept in a jar once held for fireflies. Spring breezes and March storms scrapbooked in a torrent of memory. None of us know. And so I write these poems as epitaph, funeral chorus off key. Velvet bow tomorrow is something akin to prayer. Thank you. So I wish that I had created a read along because first of all, it was great for me. I loved listening and being able to really focus on the words. So I will keep that in mind if I'm back here. Also, my table is a little too small. So if you see me kind of jolting around, it's because my papers are falling. My client asked me if I am still beautiful. Disembodied, voice bell chiming without the etch-a-sketch arrival of a face. I do not admonish, nor say, I dream of hospitals these days. That now my calls are a pondering of who is breathing. Inhale, exhale, will I see you again? My worries are not their fruit, and so I do not feed them the lowest hanging vine. He talks of Christ and redemption, the sacrifice of skin torn at the wrist, ribs visible in slow suffocation. Who do I pray for when I don't believe in prayer? I am afraid of my own inhales and exhales, suddenly astounded by how my body is, how mired in the dirt, a housing for knowledge, and the Lord has led me in kindness, he says. This I can offer sacrament for. Dry wafer of worry and salvation slid under tongue. For all that is holy, please, let the lungs breathe in their sigh of relief.
Yay.
Shadow person. Glide into the room like a ghost through graceless catacombs. Your inert form in front of me, a silhouette dreaming. Not all who wander are dead, and not all dead sleep peacefully. I am careful not to rouse you, to take my midnight musings to the city's skyline, cobalt clouds, queen's balconies, an apartment view that almost feels like mine. Tonight, I am avoiding pills, trazodone, melatonin, even meditation. When they say to exercise, I practice futility. My mind does not operate within work hours. Sleep comes to me when driving, or forced circadian rhythm midday siestas, races away between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4. These are the list I make when everyone else is dreaming. When your body rises and falls in fits of slumber, groceries unbought, an endless to-do, words I don't know, mistakes I have made. Projects and ideas in abundance, a cornucopia of fireflies, a bouquet I cannot grasp. She is a silhouette singing her story. I am a voice on the telephone. We are vague abstractions reaching across boundary lines to find the strength we left on the other side of the railroad tracks, or at the end of a blade, or at the bottom of a pill bottle. She says, I slipped between the cracks and no one noticed. She says, I was hungry. She says, I was sick. And all these nets we put in place to keep us from falling only serve to create burial shrouds. We looked like the living dead, and the living ignored us on the best of days, or they'd say, get up by your bootstraps. This is your responsibility. Not understanding the dark in our pockets like stones, we wanted to swim, but it's hard to move with that extra weight, and it's harder still to breathe with nightmares in your lungs. I tried coughing. We tried rescue. 911, can you save me from myself? She speaks like a ghost. Her story settled on her shoulders, heavy as 6 feet of dirt, leftovers from the times we had to climb out of our own graves. We carved our names with our boot prints in the muddy holes of footholds we made, and the only one waiting on the other side when we reached air was a mirror to remind us of our messes. Still, she says, this is not my ending, and I applaud from across empty space, the ether of the internet. I say there is strength in honesty, even if when we talk, there are shards of glass in our mouths.
Wow.
Stage 5, acceptance, after the sky settles. I carry your 5-year-old gap-toothed smile in my wounded heart because I believe even lightning can strike the same place twice. Scorched earth bears a mark, but it still thrives, so I've stuck rods in the sand in hopes of making glass to bottle you storms, like the one last night when the rumbling thunder shook the house into a rockabye baby crib, jostling memories loose from dreamless sleep like the screws from the bed frame of reality. I drifted off with nothing, but woke up with gemstones flashing strobe lights through my window, raindrops pushing themselves past all the things God said they'd never be. We were always meant to be something more than moments, and I think you knew it deep down in the bottle of orange medicine bottles. Grown-up candy to cope with the schism of diagnosis, the breakdown of who you were, with mountain wind in your hair and your snowboard cutting powder, and who they said you had become, when there wasn't enough left of you to swallow. After your departure, I searched for you in the pockets of hurricanes, all shook up from the hot and cold currents of the last time I saw you smiling clover-strewn meadows. Turned my eyes to the sky to see if clouds left a silver lining trace, a sugar plum fairies, and a string quartet of angels with violins. Though of course, you'd been back, keeping beat on your resurrected drum set, no longer flooded. All the picturesque images of what they described heaven as, when I'm still not really sure if heaven is. These evenings, I comfort myself knowing there are 7.046 billion people seeing the same sky I am. And I guarantee we're not all watching for lunar eclipses. Neon light pollution forms a barrier around my tiny island, but I heard upstate they can count the loops in Orion's belt. Shoot archery with their connect the dot imaginations. What I mean to say is, at some point I stopped cursing nature for moving on without you. I think it's when I found the way you made the northern lights burn, painted the sky a new shade of vibrant green, a forest canopy engulfing a sunset, like you'd finally found a way to block out the backdrop of voices smothering your own. And I think I'm gonna do one more before the open, and then there'll be an encore, so this will be my last one for now. Monday morning. Create messes. Spilled vanilla blonde latte, the Starbucks drink you keep forgetting the name of. For once, you have napkins in your bag. The coffee wipes clean off your jacket sleeve, your small splash fortunate to have missed other passengers. It forms a puddle on the subway floor. Tired as you are, you still look for graffiti in the tunnels when the train flashes quick around the corner. Admire the bronze marble floor of Franklin Street when the doors switch open. Recoil at the rust stain or gold mold on a no longer pristine white tiled wall before the rush to the next stop. This morning you read about loneliness, or is it solitude? It's all about perspective, how comfortable you are with being alone. Last night, you found out someone you knew from college was dead, and you thought about all the times in the last few months you'd wished to be dead. For what reason? You'll describe to your therapist later ideation as a form of escapism, but now in the reality of nothingness amid mundane Monday mornings that come and go, the last stop. An announcement to depart. People move, and they move, until they don't. Outside Southbury, the sky lingers like white smoke. You inhale without thinking. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to hearing the open mic.
Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
Excellent,
Thank
Bri.
you.
I think we should unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful, powerful.
What,
Woo.
what an
Thank you.
afternoon. What features? Let's hear it again for both features.
Yeah.
Yay!
Thank you, Bri.
All right.
Three, so much. Oh my,
Wonderful.
all right, I'm going to turn everything over to Chip again, and I'm just verklempt from this afternoon. Thank you.
Wow, yeah, that's a great word for it, Maggie. What awesome readers or features we have. Thank you so much, TA and Bria. Thank you so much for those wonderful readings. Okay, so if you do want to read on the open mic, please put your name in the chat. We would like, and remember that you have 3 minutes. I'm going to start with Herb Gunmar today. Herb?
Yes, hello. Okay, what did King Herod do when he thought he was going to be replaced? He brought on the massacre of the innocents. A certain family fled as refugees, and they lived as immigrants in a foreign country till it was safe for them to return to their homeland, like too many refugees from too many places today. And this poem that I'm reading is not me, it's a persona, and it's thoughts of one damaged, deranged, and enraged. This May's day's ripe clouds open, wind bellows, not knowing where or why I drive, I'm running reds and stopping at yellows. Too few green things have come alive. The night's grown greater than the day. Streetlights shine brighter than the sun. Where am I headed? Why? The highway's roar invites me like a shore's high waves. Now, jam. I'm splashing, smashing radio knobs. Each song playing that I likes, they're done. My blinking green dash lights fade, die. I reach to find an answer. Where's my gun? Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful, Herb. Again, you never cease to amaze me. Or to surprise me, I should say. You always amaze me. Next, we have Judy Turek. She has a poem for everything. She writes 24 poems in 24 hours. Right, Judy?
Yes.
Okay, great. Tell us about your book and then read your poem, please. Briefly about your book.
Okay. I have two shortish family poems today. And I will invite you all to join the Poetry Marathon. Sign up is open. You can go on Facebook or you can just go online. The Poetry Marathon. 24 hours, starts at 9 a.m. on Saturday, June. I'm looking. June 25th. And then it ends at 9 a.m. on Sunday, June 26th. And you'll love it. It's fun. Okay, so in honor of my grandpa, who we called Pop, today would be his 110th birthday. Breakfast with Pop. Not your everyday ordinary grandfather. Pop was my buddy. He and Mom too young to be called Grandma and Grandpa, though I tried once with Mom and was given a knuckle to my forearm that left a bruise. They'd dance arm in arm from the living room to the kitchen as they'd busy themselves fixing breakfast for my brother, Mikey, and me. We were frequent weekend guests as kids. Eggs sunny side up with grated potatoes, diced onions, thin slices of meatballs Aunt Mary sent over every night from across the street. And she made the best meatballs I've ever had. Pop would add 3 shakes of Tabasco to the pan and it sizzled. Mom readied our rolls with margarine on one side, ketchup on the other. Pop would put borovot on his, but not on ours or Mom's. Too hot, he'd say. Egg sandwiches remind me of Pop and Mom and the ballroom dances that forever waltzed in on their Richmond Hill house. And to this day, I have never called hot pepper flakes anything but borovot. And a quick second poem that I wrote for Memorial Day and was published in the Oyster Bay Guardian, and that my church then printed as a prayer card and gives out for Memorial Day and Veterans Day. My dad was in the Army and NYPD. This and every day. I wake to an alarm that doesn't signal warfare, stand beneath a shower that isn't bullets raining down, dressed for comfort without a backpack of munitions strapped on, no need for a helmet, getting into a vehicle without tank treads, going to a 9-to-5 job that doesn't require soldier strength and doesn't end at 5. Take lunch someplace other than a foxhole, return home to a warm house, cook in a kitchen without rations, sit on a couch not camouflaged, watch TV without fear a flickering light will draw an enemy near, go to sleep with a down pillow cradle, secure dreams, safe from artillery fire. And for this day, I thank every veteran who has ever served me my freedom on a silver platter, my gratitude for this and every day.
Very nice.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Judy, for that. And speaking of Judy, Judy writes about everything, and this one is, I'll tell you the name of it after I read the poem. Don't stir him up. He will sit there and fester, and before you know it, everywhere. And as far as you can see, and everywhere there's sunlight, there he is. It's dust. So our next poet who I will ask to read is Megan. Megan Dosh, would you please read for us?
This is called Ties That Bind. My guide dog's harness and leash link us. Subtle sways of his body vibrate through the tether as we work together to unravel our surroundings. I move through the world, hands guide me to explore. Touch the flower's petals, slice the fruit, hold the baby bird. But wait, be careful. You might crush the flower, cut your fingers, hurt the bird. Voices reel me in, throw me back. Perception lashes me to the ground. I think I have room to move, but leeway is an illusion. I yearn to cut the rope with scissors, made from equity. I feel their cool relief, like haircutting shears, pulsing against the nape of my neck. But loss exposes me. I am unmoored, without judgment. How do I find the umbilical cord that binds me to this world? How do I reshape the way I move through the sea of impressions? I will braid twine from strands of justice, hope, and empathy, from words and love and chocolate. Twist them together with the knowledge that all bodies occupy space in the shared universe. And as much as we might try to press the atoms of our thoughts upon one another, no two objects can occupy the same place. If this line breaks, I will restring another, and I will choose how I anchor myself. I fasten my guide dog's leash, leather supple with love. We step out into the spring day, gripping the thread of hope that the ties we create will free us. Thank you.
Bravo.
Bravo. Thank you so much, Megan. Nina Yavelle has been a staple in Poetry Street. She's also on the film Poetry Street on the Road, which is found on our website, poetrystreetontheroad.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Nina Yavelle.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you, everybody. Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Niles and the other reader, whose name eludes me right now, I'm sorry. But it's been a great afternoon. So these are old poems. One is called Old Lady Maple, sort of one of my little favorites. Still wet from their encumbrances, the leaves unfurl in the May evening. At last, Old Lady Maple will receive her spring and summer permanent. Her black bark sags, puffs at the joints. Her eyelids droop, mouth pruned open. She leans too far to the right to greet the chattering children. I'd expected she'd crack the concrete, unhinge from the earth and totter down to the corner, leaving me and these silly birds to ponder her wake, the enormity of her absence. But she stands her ground, my wide, tough mother, one I can slip my arms around. Can I do one quick one? One more quick one?
Yes, go right ahead, Nina.
Okay. Flowers at Falmouth. At the edge of June, the lilacs blacken. The iris burst like popcorn, wilting within hours. Blossoms by the sea take their turn, weave within the salt wind. Quilted reds burrow, yellows skip, the oranges dance, and white-cloaked bells like choral groups sing to the matted earth. In June, the roses will split from their brace to rest upon the thorns. New sacrifices unfold, petals adrift on the slate sea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nina, for that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, from Cleveland, Ohio, Parmaletta, Ambassador of Peace Jones.
The title of this poem is What Color the Love? On golden wings flieth the word of God. What color the word but the love? A single. On golden wings flieth the word of God. What color the word but the love? The rainbow hues, the rainbow hues, the rainbow hues. On golden wings flieth the word of God. What color the word but the sun? The silver brooks that soothe thy soul, for peace upon high doth run. Gently as color hues upon sky, rainbow peace begins to sprout. Ye, thou and I, as meadows sway, glee to heaven, in joy we shout. O wonderful word, O wonderful God, glory be to thee in heaven. Joyous art we that angels sing, forever blessed, sisters and brethren. Amen.
All right. Amen. 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 Wow. Melissa, we meet every last Saturday of the month right here on Zoom on Poetry Street, and we look forward to seeing you again.
I'm there. I'm there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that
God
wonderful
bless you, and
form.
thank you for inviting me. I'm there. You guys are stuck with me.
Awesome. Awesome. Next, I'm going to ask Sasha. Sasha, editor,
Okay.
please read.
This is wonderful. Really a great way to celebrate the weekend. The moon between. If she doesn't bear witness to her existence, no one will do it for her. She feels her way in the dark, the moon between the sky and her hands. She masks shadows under her eyes with the wit of a court jester. Her poems indulge the most ordinary things, a comb, a rake, a zipper, repainted by the color, rhythm, texture of her words. Even the ooze of chocolate truffles, the creme of creme brulee, take on poetic grandeur. If she peels an apple, snow might fall in Montana. If she darns a sock, an earthquake might shake Japan. Her poems have the power to fade in and out of oblivion. But in the arch of her fingers, she dares to touch the third rail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sasha. Appreciate you. Barbara Branca is a singer and a poet. I don't know what she's going to do today, but we'll find out, Barbara Branca.
Hello, everyone, and this has been a marvelous reading so far. I'm not singing, and my pipes aren't what they usually are. I have a 3-minute nostalgic, but maybe still relevant story to tell.
Awesome.
The Magic Fish. June 12th would be Anne Frank's 93rd birthday. My mother bought me a copy of the Diary of Anne Frank at the local A&P supermarket, and I brought it to read on summer vacation. I was 8. We visited my grandparents in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, while my father was at Army Reserve Camp. I was proud of my dad, an officer in France rebuilding bridges that the Allies had bombed to prevent the Germans from advancing. I curled up by a window, reading how Anne was a girl just a few years older than me. I couldn't believe that the Franks lived secretly and silently in that attic, and far worse, that after being discovered, she died in a concentration camp. I had heard stories about the camps and seen the black and white photos. When I read that Anne's father, Otto, was the family's only survivor, I wept. At first, I was mad at him. Anne should have lived, not Otto, but he loved her so much to share her story with the world. In the basement, Grandpa Wes had built a wooden minnow tank. In his Texas accent, he called the little bait fish minnows. And we used them early one morning to go fishing along the Mississippi Bayou. We were out the door by 3 a.m., but the boat trailer got stuck in the Mississippi mud, and we had to wait till sunup for someone to pull us out before we could go fishing. I never heard Wes cuss so much. The sun was already hotter than blazes, and once he fired up the outboard, Wes told me I'd have to cast my fishing line in the open water and not into the cool of the bank where the fish were feeding in the shade. He wasn't going to spend the whole day untangling my line from the underwater roots. I did what I was told, cast my line into the hot, muddy water, but with my beginner's luck, I caught 3 decent-sized sea bream. They sparkled turquoise in the sun. Magic. On the way home from the bayou with our cooler of fish, we went by the flare, a giant flame visible day and night that burned off the excess gas at an oil refinery. Then we drove by a paper plant. When the wind was right, you could catch the putrid stench of paper making. It made me think that Louisiana sure was a place that was weird to live in with all those things so close by. The next week, Wes's minnows died in the tank, and my grandmother's attempts to grow mushrooms in the dank basement were not successful, nor were any of her half-hearted attempts to quit smoking, and I still hear his words to my grandmother, "Those cigarettes will kill you, Terry." Yes, they did. My summer of lessons was full. The Holocaust, how making gas for your car or paper for you to write stories on came with a price, that smoking was bad for you, and that for fish or mushrooms or humans to thrive, they need the right space and plenty of love. To this day, my favorite color is turquoise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for that. And the next voice you're going to hear, strong, powerful, beautiful voice, Joseph Hearns.
I want this on my obituary. But all right, here we're going to start this like this. To my family and friends, I have a notice that had arrived from the chief architect who had advised that my mansion was complete, a chair and a ticket for me that I can take a seat. Well, my new home truly is finished, and what a sight is to behold. It's located on an exclusive estate beyond the pearly gates, graciously given and not sold. It is just on the other side of a terrestrial shore with crystal chandelier ceiling and brass doors, finished with a scene of clouds for a floor. Of course, you know the streets are paved with gold, and every day is Sunday, just like you've been told. I can walk and talk with my master without a worry or care, and the sound of angels with music is in the air. I can dine on the master's wonderful table and sing. My heavenly Father is there, and I can usher him in. Oh yes, I have my own designer here who fitted me with my own white robe with wings that appear. I'm going to pray that you move here yourself someday. P.S. I don't have a smartphone or email. If you need to get hold of me, place your head at a nod and call on God. And if you don't have his number, it's for any age. You can just read your Bible. It's found and listed on every page.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
And I really do want to say, Chip, I enjoy reading this and to hear others' thoughts. I really like to hear from people that have every day that what's the things that's going on in every day. And it's really sad that we have to write and speak on it often. I heard a lot today that I can place within my mind and heart of what's going on, as far as our today and with the conditions we're living in. But I plan to have a joy with it as long as I can read. Okay. And thank you very much. Okay, Chip. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you. JB from SpoofX, actually, I would like for him to unmute and tell us about SpoofFest and also to read a poem. JB.
Okay, so what I write for now are haiku that I call dark haiku. It explores the darker side of the human condition, the dark and the macabre. And to put a special touch to it, I put sound effects and music. And I have a team of narrators that narrate my haiku for me. And this one is called, this is from my first poetry chapbook called In the Dead of Night. And this is called Hurricane Laughter.
Hurricane laughter into the eye of my storm. There is no shelter.
And that's it for me. And if I could, I'd like to put a couple of links to my 2 chapbooks if people would like to learn more about dark haiku and read more.
Absolutely.
I just had my second chapbook published this past Tuesday called You Dark Up My Life. And so I'll put those in the chat. So thank you, TA and Bri, wonderful reading. And I understand that you guys will be doing an encore. Looking forward to that. And I have enjoyed everyone's open mic performance as well. Thank you, Chip, and thank you, Maggie.
Thank you so much again, and thank you for all the great work that you're doing for the poetry community. I don't know if anyone's heard of the Sailor's Review. It's an awesome magazine, but we have the editor here, and I hope he's listening because I would love, oh, there he is, Taku. Can you please tell us about the Sailor's Review and where you are and what you're doing? And please read for us.
Thank you so much. So my name is Takuzwa Chikepe, also known as Chikepe the Poet. So I'm the publisher of the Sailor's Review. It's a literary magazine / newsletter from Zimbabwe. We're covering Africa, and we also extending into the US. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I've been writing poetry for 16 years. So we're looking for poets who want their poetry to be read in Africa and beyond. Thank you so much. Very happy to be here. This is my first time. So without wasting a lot of time, I'm going to read my latest poem. It's entitled, There is a New Devil in Town. We have become second-class citizens. Our reality is now fiction, if you are lucky. If not, it has become a criminal charge. How fictitious can you be has become the fashion of the day. Knowing that we can't do the impossible hasn't stopped us from trying. As a matter of fact, it is inspiring us to keep on trying more and more and more and more. If the impossible is truly impossible, then we have successfully found different ways of mimicking the impossibilities. With God, nothing shall be impossible, we believed. And with God, nothing shall be impossible, we believe. On top of that, we have believed that we are God's children, thus giving ourselves licenses to create anything we deem necessary and starting to believe that everything is possible. not only have we thrown ourselves gods, but subconsciously we want to put the devil out of business. Are we the new devil in town that will go to hell in the place of the original devil? Has the original devil become the people that we were supposed to become? Or at least the people that we were once? Will the devil be casting us out demons very soon, as we are busy looking for more fictions on our phones, laptops, movies, music, or even ticking and talking? While the devil is busy praying for his righteousness somewhere. If we are not serious, reality will be all gone and she will never come back. Indeed, there is a new devil in town. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. I got a place for that new devil right here, and I'm pondering it like this. All right. Hey, so the Sailor Review published my poem to my siblings, so I'm so grateful for that. And please put your information in the chat so others can find out how to get the Sailor's Review and also to be published with your magazine. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Stephen Licardi, would you please read for us next?
Cool. I'll pop my goofy face on the screen here. Wow, it's so good to see familiar loved ones in the digital space. I actually didn't know that this reading was happening until I saw it on Bri's Facebook page. And if you haven't liked Cuckoo Clock Heart, you should go and do that because it's a wonderful page. And it's lovely to be in the space with all of you and to hear all of your precious words. I think we need poetry now more than ever before. So, and I just want to honor that I myself am in a very tender spot because of all the things that have been happening.
Yes.
And I'm bringing that emotion into the space. So let me get to my poem. So this is called Saudade, which is a Portuguese term for desiring a world that is no longer accessible. Grief inspired. We can hold two emotions at once in the heart's clumsy hands. Two delicate birds, one living, one dead. The same bird, its bones like spun glass, chest dirigible and full of hot air. My heart is at once a fist and a wing. How do birds express their rage? How do they scorn the sky? By slicing clouds, having mists into the same hole. My heart is a knife now, surgical, serene, and sanitized. Somehow it still rests, still sleeps each night, cradling itself, the want, the uselessness, a weapon without intent, a fist unclenched, like a bird holding a knife in its wing, attempting to fly. Thank you for the space and thank you for listening to my words.
Thank you so much for that. Laura Rosenthal, would you please read? And also, Stephen, I wanted to say thank you so much for acknowledging the space that we find ourselves in. So horrible times, and we should never ever have times like this. But it seems like it's just repeating over and over and over again, and it just needs to stop now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, Laura. Thank you.
Yeah. Amen. Hello from Northern California. I'm a poet and recovering lawyer. And really want to thank Susan Dingle, who is a fellow writer in the Pacific University MFA program, for letting me know about this group. I really have enjoyed and been moved by what I've heard today.
I'll read one poem. I'm moved by some of the family poems that folks have read. When my father died, my mother turned to me and said, "Look, his skin is so soft. Touch him." And she held his hand, stroked it in a way I'd never seen her do in life. I didn't want to obey. Who was left to touch? But I knew I could. I fumbled with that hand, not yet given over to rigor mortis. I don't remember what it felt like, 91-year-old skin stretched over 91-year-old bones. I don't remember if the corpse was cold or if the last flushes of body heat lingered before they dispersed into a room made negligibly warmer. I don't remember if the hand was leather soft or silk soft, or if it was soft. This hand, with its accumulated calluses, wounds become scars. This hand that gripped a wooden slide rule in college and a rifle in wartime, that held my hand the first time I waded into the surf. I don't remember where I stood in that room, just the way she held his hand, looked at me, and said, "Touch him." Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Liz S., where are you from and would you please read?
Hi, I am from Long Island. I'm close friends with Bri, so that's why I tuned in today. It was lovely to hear everybody read. And I have a poem here that I wrote last month called Jacob on the Interstate. The dark road shining in the aching throat of day, factory smoke bunching itself into a glory of white clouds, and here, in the joint movement of space, my only company being myself and the congress of cars on either side, we talk. I'm trying. The beauty of the crumbling town, glorious decay and nauseating sadness shows me that grief is inescapable. Still, let me escape it. Its ashen possibility slides into bed with me and keeps me turning. How does anyone sleep? How does anyone love when that highway's end is inevitable? How dare my parents love me to the point that our skeletons run together like watercolors? Which side of the paper will rip first? I've studied the phases of the earth, the cruelty of your evolution. There's supposed to be solace in the cycle of birth, death, birth, but I've stepped out of it, or I've made to. I am a tall vessel still spilling water. We wrestle, you and I want to want you so much. I want to want you more than I want the man I bring into my bed, more than my mother longs for the untouched span of youth, more than the mist loves the faraway pines of the mountains.
Wow.
Glorious.
Okay, you're in Long Island, so we're going to expect to see you at the live readings at Poetry Street every last Saturday from 2 to 4 at the Riverhead Free Library. So please join us. And if you can't join us, you can join us on Zoom as well.
Okay.
Dee Dee Spungen is one of my favorite people. Such a powerful lady. She's around this short, but she is powerful. Beautiful lady, and my mother was that short too. So I love for all the people who are that short. Okay, so Dee Dee Spungen, I love you. Thank you for having such a sense of humor.
Thank you so much.
And she's on poetrystreetontheroad.com. We just posted her video. I'm kind of backlogged, but we both posted that video recently.
Thanks so much, Chip.
Thank you.
I want to thank TA and Bri and everybody who shows up for Poetry Street. You guys show me I can still smile, still breathe, still believe. Thanks so much. So now that I said something sweet and happy, I'm going to read this. This is called Don't. I wrote it the night after the evening that we learned about the most recent massacre. Don't touch that dial. Command to stay tuned. Commandment ignored. Insanity or evil, what difference when you are burying the dead? Teach your children, watch them board the bus, know they are safe, of course, safe in school. Don't touch that child. Command to protect. Commandment ignored. Insanity or evil, what difference when you are burying your child? Teach the golden rule. Raise your children well. Know you are proud, your child safe in school. Don't change the laws. My right to own and shoot. Commandment ignored. Insanity or evil, your child just killed mine.
All right, I'm kind of lost for words after that. Russ, I'm gonna need your help right now. Russ Green. Russ, help me.
Hold on, I'm coming.
All right, thank you.
Unmute video. Okay. All right, I'm here. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I was kind of out and about today, and now I'm here. All righty. Well, thank you all. So great to see Maggie and hear Bri and our other featured reader. Such phenomenal work and phenomenal people. And my dear brother and friend Stephen is on, and Doreen and all of you. I can't mention you all, but all right. So yeah, and in honor of National Poetry Month, I'm going to read an older piece that I think is probably even more fitting now than when I wrote it about 6 years ago or so. And ironically enough, it is a poem that both Stephen and I have the same titles for our different pieces. Dear Anxiety, I see you in the mirror looking into me with your malicious smile, drawing me in like machine gun toting Candyman, luring me with your sweets. You invite me to sit with you among the daisies, knowing I'm completely unaware. Lava simmering below surface, soft, innocent soil, Vesuvian time bomb ash of my history, rocketing into tumultuous sky. You rain down again and cover my pores. You seep into my wounds where blood will not coagulate. Platelets, catching platelets, try to form a net, to form a clot, to stop the bleeding. You tie a Gordian knot in my throat, shaggy Mongolian ponies trampling my rib cage. It is time to loosen the bind, rein in the herd. I refuse to stand for your draconian measures. I sit under the gaslight contemplating how to tell you, my dear, I have loved you so long, but I need to leave you. Thank you all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. You can see more of Russ on Poetry Street on the Road, the film, which is on our website at poetrystreetontheroad.com. Phil, would you like to read? Phil, is that short for Phyllis?
She doesn't look like a Philip to me.
No, I'd like to read. It's short for Phyllis. Thank you, everyone, and it's nice to be here.
Thank you.
Pay no heed to his sequined allure, though his breath is sweet, his handsomeness sure. He'll stalk persistently from the rear, whisper seductively in your ear. I've the remedy you deny, yet seek. He'll promise eternal, delicious sleep. And you who've been weary for a while will surely be enticed by his dazzling style. No, don't turn and behold him with your eyes, for then you will be certain to die. Yes, life's a struggle, but choose to endure. Choose to ignore suicide's haunting lure.
Thank you so much. And again, Mental Awareness Month.
Right.
That's this month, and trust me, there's a lot of, there's a lot of problems and there's a lot to be upset about and a lot to talk about. And if you need help, seek it out. Just ask somebody, help me. Those two words really help. All right, I think I'm gonna turn this over to Claire for a moment so Claire can bring on the next few readers. Claire Lundberg, and Claire is working behind the scenes to help us. And I just want everyone to unmute and just give Claire a big round of applause, making sure that we're all on Zoom, we all get our invitations, and just say thank you, Claire.
Awesome, Claire. Thank you for what you do.
Staff for Poetry Street. I appreciate you and need you. Okay, Claire.
Thanks, Chip. And next we have Cheryl Lateef. If you'd unmute. Cheryl,
Yes.
still with us? There we are.
Thank you.
Great.
This is my first time being here with you all. I came to hear TA, and of course he didn't disappoint at all. So this piece is called Star Lilies. Soil still between your fingers, you lead me through the garden. It is early morning. Crisp air and the fragrance of your favorite blooms stir my senses. We speak in metaphor, seduced by words left to interpretation. You cut me star lilies and freesia. You want your magic to linger. I invite you in, find vases, watch the sun play on your hands, now clean, as you lovingly arrange garden gifts. The bed opens as if delighted to be in this small upstairs apartment. You know the face of my passion, trace the fine lines of my longing with fingers experienced in coaxing flowers to bloom. Content in transitory moments, we play under the arc of laden bows. Pretend there is permanence in the mere curve of letters, cut flowers, a kiss. Beyond the well-tended beds of your garden, winding paths lead to the question you turn from. We lose our way. I return home, knowing you will not follow. Upstairs, the star lilies, their fragrant flesh becoming translucent. Soon, petals will fall, one by one. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Cheryl. Thank you. Maggie, we then go to you, and I don't know if your guest will speak, but you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm not sure that my guest will speak. Will you speak, Barbara? I don't think so. I have been so moved this afternoon by the power of words, and I'm going to read something I didn't plan on reading. It's a cento, which is a poem that sort of steals from other poets. It's also an homage, an appropriation is the appropriate term. I'm not going to give credit to everybody because then it'll go over 3 minutes, but I will read it. It's called Those Who Serve to Poetry. I have read that you are dead, a dinosaur that's gone as far can go. The final coin has clinked, so many think. I pray not so, for I believe the rose is only sick, and that our contract extends beyond limited liability. Poets receive their bits of news, awakening the sparkling muse, the hummingbird, the child's top in the air, a lyric light, profound, in language fair enough to circumvent the critic's eye, or plain defy what's au courant. It may not haunt one like a frost at 2 roads crossed with miles to go, may circumvent the edge of many circles like blackbirds high in cedar limbs, but may, like ancient hymns, ignite a day for me and you, if you come too. Death be not proud, for pens are prouder still. In hand they curse the dying of celestial light, and love the world with all the might of feathers nestled in the soul. Hold fast to dreams as death works his long day. Wonder what is yet to come as time's green orchard slips away. For what are years when poets long to write as pure a thing as joy? A song of self that mere contempt, like death on broomsticks, swoops to destroy. Assorted characters of doom and blight break not the hearts of men that breathe with eyes that see as troubadours, whose simple songs may sing a terrible beauty and defy you, death. Poetry, thou shalt not die. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maggie.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Claire, I actually would like to hear you read.
Well, I have a prayer to read today. It's not my own, but I am a little behind because this morning I got notified 2 of my nieces were graduating, one from high school and one from college, and I already went to 2 commencement addresses. But this prayer is for anybody waiting for comfort or what's ahead and unknown. It's the prayer of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Above all, trust in the slow work of God. We are quite naturally impatient in everything to reach the end without delay. We should like to skip the intermediate stages. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown, something new. And yet it is the law of all progress that it is made by passing through some stages of instability, and that it may take a very long time. And so I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Don't try to force them on as though you could be today what time, that is to say, grace and circumstances acting on your own goodwill, will make of you tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that his hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Claire. I would like to read a poem that I wrote years ago for my friend's memorial. His name was Greg. This poem is entitled Ode to Greg. Memories fresh in my mind, silently I cry. Mountains, morning mist reaches even the corners with grief. I'm filled with pain and abysmal emptiness. Tears storm while unanswered questions line up in my mind, even wondering if there was anything, something, signs I've missed. It doesn't seem real. We had just spoken and broken bread. He was extremely excited about the future, and now you tell me that his life is over? And I remain here, stunned, angry, sad, and hurt, like so many of you, not knowing what to do, desperately trying to find the lesson. I can't hear those old words of comfort folks would always say. Not right now. Like a fisherman, Greg cast a wide net of hopes and dreams as lure. He was a great pollinator. He sprinkled his goodness all over, ensuring a prosperous spring and a bountiful harvest. Skillfully, he juggled as long as he could while double dutch jump roping barbed wire. He took in all that was needed and gave more than was required. He was truly gifted and admired. Greg had talents beyond compare, a major artery and a life force in the music industry, connecting lives, selecting the extraordinary people of vast diversity. He was as generous as the sun-blocking leaves that adorn an old oak tree, and as welcoming and refreshing as the unexpected cool August breeze. The unraveled truth of his feelings never did he hide. He was very protective of those he loved, open blade at his side. His facial expressions alone could communicate his intent, although he never had a problem saying exactly what he meant. Greg was innovative, ambitious, tenacious, and dared to live fearlessly, expecting greatness and expecting nothing less. Although he left so unexpectedly, he left us an indelible legacy. And like so many who have been touched and changed by the life of Gregory Russell Clark, I will always be grateful for the times we had, his loving, caring, and sharing nature. It is this memory of him that will always be kept alive in my now injured heart. I love you, Greg, and I will always miss you. Yeah, he was quite a guy, such a nice guy, such a powerful, wonderful guy. Thank you for that. Martin Gallegos. I'm sure I'm messing up your last name, so if you will, first of all, correct me and then tell me if you would like to read and tell me where you're from. So, unmute.
Martina Gallegos. Welcome.
Martina Gallegos.
Okay. Yes. So
Is that right? The last name?
Gallegos.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm
Martina.
tuning in from Oxnard, California.
Cool.
I'll just read one, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay. And this kind of goes with mental health a little bit. Yeah. Under my feet. Why does my brain hide what my body cannot feel? The ground under my feet refuses to hold me. The air I try to breathe really wants to choke me. Why is it that a puddle feels like an ocean? I feel like we'll drown in a small glass of water. Tell me why nights feel like I'm walking on cotton. I waddle and stumble like wading through water. I slide on wet grass and I glide across clean floors. Why does bright sun knock me right off my own feet? It's not like I haven't felt much pain on my head. 4 holes are reminders my brain almost once died. My body lay waiting or hooked into machines. Doctors tied me up, all up, from my head to my toes. Heroes trying to keep my brain from exploding. It was a heaven in the worst summer from hell. My feet walked through hot deserts and torrential rainstorms. When I woke up, all I wanted was a gentle foot rub. I wanted to feel real green grass under my feet, walk through a desert and feel sand under my feet, go to the beach, play in the sand, wade in the waves. Why does the world spin faster than my brain can think? I can no longer know who I am, and neither can stop me. My brain tries to break what's under my feet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martina. Now, what part of California are you from again?
I'm calling in from, I'm tuning in from Ventura County, Oxnard, California.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and please join us again.
Thank you. It was great. Yeah, beautiful poetry.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I would like to go to our founder, Susan Dingle. Susan Dingle, look what you've done. You and Bubby Brown created this, and we're just so grateful to you. So would you please either read or say something, and from Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have another state to add.
Thank you so much. With all due respect, I think that it was a power greater than ourselves that created Poetry Street. So I just want to read something short today. First of all, I wish I did have a poem to read that was worthy of this wonderful gathering today. So many beautiful voices, so many prophets, so many deeply felt poems. This is called In Response to Recent Outrages, and it was written some years ago. In response to recent outrages, protesters with disabilities dragged out of a hearing on healthcare, still chanting, wheelchairs clacking along the banked floor. People in Puerto Rico waiting for help weeks after their crumbled homes leach into the seas. Football players kneeling during the national anthem to protest unarmed Black people slain by police. What will it take for a revival, for compassion to overpower injustice, and one voice speak our true demand to be recognized as people of every color? Fires and floods do not discriminate. All ashes look the same. Love you all.
Such profound words. Okay, I'm going to turn this back over to Maggie Bloomfield, who is going to bring back our features. Thank you all for sharing.
Oh, thank
Indeed.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's unmute again, and a hand for the open mic people. What a group of readers. What a splendid afternoon. Honestly, I'm really. We are going to bring back our features for one more poem. We'll begin with TA. Loving hearing you again.
Wow. Boy, it takes a bit to catch your breath after some of these powerful pieces that have been just flying off the mic today. Okay, catch my breath, and can I share again, please? Let's see. I think this is it. You're not seeing anything probably, huh?
We are.
Oh, you are? Okay. All right, great. This was, what's today? The 28th, so this was yesterday morning. I got this new thing going. I call it Kwaraiku, and this is 4 haikus in a row. Haiku. Sorry, Judy. Judy's my mentor, is teaching me things.
So many people.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Body count elevating. Media keeping score. Greater numbers, please. Higher count, more clicks, certain. Madness obliges. Woe is us, we cry. Rivers of reptile tears flow. Moving on, next show. How fleeting outrage, fashionable to denounce. How righteous we are. Sorry, folks, that was just my feeling yesterday morning. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I think maybe we're all feeling that way.
Yeah.
A bit, but with some faith and hope and optimism. Thank you, TA. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you all. Thank you.
And let's bring back the lovely, lovely Bri.
Hello. So I do not have a haiku. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
If to be finite. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend to them all the care, kindness, and understanding you can muster, and do it with no thought of any reward. Your life will never be the same again. Og Mandino. Summer strawberries. This is what I hope I remember when I die. Paring knife, inconsistent cubes, banana slices, maple syrup, milk or cream. How breakfast was always a promise, even if I was feigning death that day. Beginning each moment is a new moment to begin. So, did you wipe your calendars clean? All these numbers that govern our when in ticks and talks, colons and dashes, how irrational. Beginning today, I have lost my footing on a hike, found myself clinging to roots to prevent cliffside tumbling. My body is not made of stone. In so many ways, it is only blown glass. What pieces of me will they collect? What pieces of you? If by midnight breath has been stolen from my lungs, from yours, will you regret the exchange of air, suddenly so precious and so finite, words formed of bullets or of shields? Suddenly I wonder if forgiveness would taste less like lemon and more like meringue. If anything is truly unforgivable, or if time plus magic holds capacity to transform all beasts into men. Call it naivety, but overnight I fell in love with the 23rd hour, with the way streetlights dancing on asphalt contain the music of infinite late night car conversations, compositions composed in black and white silhouette, but also full color, freshly born, skin pulled back, until I too am skeletal and swaying, but also exposed. To remedy this, invite me over for tea. Offer tongs full of sugar cubes, more than I will ever use. Explain it is the sweetness of knowing we all burn our lips that first sip. It is all I will need to know exactly what you need. Oh. So everyone was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing your words on this tumultuous day where it can't seem to make up its mind. I love seeing y'all on Zoom.
Thank you, Bri. Thank you, everybody. Oh my goodness, what an afternoon. I'll just quickly invite you to come back on the 25th of June. We'll be celebrating Juneteenth, and we will be celebrating the anniversary, the 9th, I believe, Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, the 9th anniversary of Poetry Street. Marcia Nelson will be a featured poet, along with maybe a couple of others. And as far as this afternoon, it could not have been better. I'm glad it rained. Anyway, I'll turn it over to Chip to
Me too.
Oh, Chip, you're fantastic.
Oh, wow.
I'm also glad it was on Zoom for some
Everyone is just, you're all so fantastic.
I feel like there's
Chip, I grabbed Chip. I said, I've been waiting for you.
And she did. I have one more poem I want to share, and that is, you are the unicorn in the beautiful garden of spectacular blossoms, the beacon of refuge, even during a stormy night, helping us survive, protecting the seas with shelter.
Yes.
Soon the stormy night will pass, and in the morning we shall sit in the beautiful garden and read poetry and smell the beautiful fragrances. Thank you all. You're all flowers. You're all blooms.
Thank you,
Chip. So much, Jane.